fight, fueling the passion, igniting the light. Through highs and lows, we'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar, together we draw. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. With a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. So let's lift our voices, let's turn it up loud. For the love of the Lions, we'll always be proud.
All right. Good morning. Welcome everybody into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. I'm your host, Will Rock. It's a solo mission today. Eric's having surgery. Wish him the best of luck today. Appreciate if you guys would send him some love and some hope on his surgery today. Good luck, Eric. Wish you nothing but the best, buddy. Can we get to 60 likes today? Let's get these ads turned off if they're already on. I don't even know if they're on, but it looks like they are. Let's get some likes up for this Lions win. The Lions started the Do It for Aiden Tour 1-0. So let's smash that like button for Aiden Hutchinson. Let's get him back here as soon as possible. And no, there's no timetable for his return. Like some people have said, he's not coming back this year, which really sucks. And I'm just glad that we learned a lot about our Lions last night. And I think that or yesterday afternoon, I think that they proved a lot to everybody. And we're going to talk about some of that today. So some of the topics today that I want to dive into, and I do have to cut it short. It's Monday, so I do have to get out of here as quickly as I can. A few things that I want to talk about. So, one, what did we learn about the team yesterday? I think we learned a lot. Number two, what Lomas Brown said about Josh Paschal, and more specifically, what he said about sacks. Number three, there's been some question about the end of the game. Now, I haven't had a chance to look up any of the runoff rules and how they apply or don't apply to a defensive penalty. Someone smarter than me is going to have to help me out here with that, because I made a comment during the live stream that if they had that defensive penalty, there should have been a 10-second runoff and the game should have been done, from my understanding, but maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, on the other side of that is kicking the ball into the end zone versus kicking the ball to let them return it. So I got into a debate with somebody last night. I won't sell them out this morning. But I got into a debate last night about it because I was kind of on the fence about either way. But the more I thought about it, I'll give you my answer here this morning on why I feel the Lions made the right or the wrong decision. We won the game, so that's the only thing that matters, right? But what would have happened if, right? There's always the question of if or next time. Jared Goff, y'all called him a bridge quarterback, or some of y'all did. I know y'all did. Some of you in this chat did. I know you did. And that's all right, because Jared Goff has proven everybody wrong and he's proven everybody else right. And man, is he having an incredible season. And I'm so happy that he's going to be around for the next many seasons. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about player of the game. We're going to talk about the Detroit Lions. PR for the Detroit Lions was on fire yesterday. I mean, on fire. They were busy. And the reason why they were busy, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At least 7 records for the Lions now. Just because of that game. 7 new records. So we're going to get into all that stuff this morning. How's everybody doing today? You feeling good on the morning after? It's Victory Monday. The morning after always feels better when it's Victory Monday. Mike P, good morning. Trace, good morning. David Kadalek, I always screw up your name. Good morning. Good morning to everybody in here. We got Fred Peterson, Eric, of course, Uper Lights, Mike P, Jay-Z, still on the run. Big Papa's in the house. Let's Go Lions is in the house. Bruce MacArthur, Casey, Peter Van Larhoven, Roger Orlowski, Giovanni Capellaro, Motown Mitch, Zachary Cleary, Broski Bear's back. Pat Beach, Mark Baylor. All right. Bo Booth's in here. Good morning, everybody. Lions completely shocked the world yesterday, taking down what was the second undefeated team that they have faced this season. Second undefeated team that they have faced this season. They did it in epic fashion. They had to make it a, the heart attack cats had to make it interesting at the end for us, didn't they? And those refs, man, who's taking care of their laundry bill today? They sure threw out a lot of laundry onto the field yesterday. Speaking of that, did anybody see the challenge flag that was or was not when Aaron Rodgers called for it and then turned around and threw it back onto the sideline? Did you guys see that last night? Cheaters. Cheaters never win. Cheaters never win. Pittsburgh puts in Russell, and Russell has a decent game. I was surprised. All right, so let's talk about these Lions. I don't even know where to start. There is so much to talk about this morning and so little time. But let me start with this. The Brian Flores defense. It has been such a pain in the ass for just about every NFL team. Yet Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, but especially Jared Goff, finds a way to win and almost throws another perfect game. I just find that incredible. I absolutely do not understand why Jared Goff has so much success against some of the most difficult teams in the NFL. And then what should be probably layups for him, he struggles with at times. I'll never understand it. But man, am I glad that he had the game that he did yesterday. Near perfect again. Just taking a look back at his record here. So, I guess I screwed up on that. I don't know exactly which games he won. Let me go back and find it. 1 second. So Jared Goff's stats versus the Vikings. Here we go. I just didn't copy one of the rows. So that is now Jared Goff's fourth win in a row versus the Vikings. Fourth win in a row. The last time the Lions lost to the Vikings was on September 25 in 2022. And they won the game prior to that, which would have been Dan Campbell's second game against Minnesota. And the Lions dropped the first game of Dan Campbell's regime here as the head coach. So that means that the Detroit Lions, since Dan Campbell has been head coach, they are 5-2. 5-2 with a 4-game win streak on our side. Awesome work, Dan Campbell. Good job. Awesome work, Jared Goff, for being such a bridge quarterback. I mean, he's building bridges that are bigger than that one in San Francisco, right? It's a pretty big bridge. Damn good quarterback. Here, what did we learn yesterday? Here's what we learned. They got down 10-0 early in this game. They're on the road. They look a little bit overwhelmed. They're playing a bit uncharacteristic of the way that they have played in the recent games, leading up to this matchup. But they found a way to stay in it. They maintained their drives, starting with the third possession, and they just found ways to win against this defense. Yep, J-Mo didn't get involved. Sam Laporta really didn't get involved at all. But they found ways to win between Amon-Ra St. Brown having another career day, Jahmyr Gibbs having a career day, Jared Goff having another, not his best career day, but pretty damn good career day. But, I mean, who's going to tell you that he didn't have an amazing day? I think it's just fun that even though he had an amazing game, it wasn't his best. Even of the season, it wasn't his best. But they just found ways to win. They found ways to stay in the game. They didn't get razzled. They didn't get frazzled. They didn't get worried. They didn't get down on themselves. They didn't feel like the game was too big that day. They weren't worried about the defense, getting scored on real quickly. That was just a boneheaded defensive play. Aaron Jones had no business running the ball for what a 35-yard touchdown. That was just a boneheaded play. There was nobody on the outside to take care of it. Terry and Arnold, big mistake. I'm not sure who was the end on that play. I haven't gone back to rewatch any tape yet. But, yeah, no containment. Completely blew that play. But it didn't happen again. And that's what matters. It didn't happen again. And the second time that they drove down, the Lions held them to a field goal. And that's when things started to turn. Now, this isn't new, this next point, but the Lions are deep. Like, deeper than I really thought that they'd be at this point in the season after losing so many good players. How deep is this roster? And some of these young cats, some of these young rookies and UDFA guys and, some of the guys that had bounced around the league for a little bit, like Pat O'Connor, getting some snaps yesterday, playing pretty well. This defense has one of its best games yet of the season. And it was without some of the biggest names in the game. No Marcus Davenport, no Aiden Hutchinson, no John Kaminsky, no Derek Barnes. And this defense was just rolling, playing very well. There was a lot of mistakes. Yeah, there was some mistakes. But if you were to tell me that this second and third string makeup of a defense mixed in with some first stringers was going to go in to Minnesota and hold it down like this, I would have said you're lying. No, ain't no way. Even though the week leading up to this, I got everybody to believe that the Lions are going to be okay. I firmly felt that they would be okay. But I didn't know that they would play that good. Sam was held to his second lowest passer rating and QBR of the season. Justin Jefferson held under 100 yards for the first time in 7 games versus Detroit. Now, it's not 7 games in a row. It's like out of the last 8 or so games, he was held, I think, to 14 yards in one game, and I think that he was injured in that game, and that's why he had so little yardage. I don't think he played the full game. I struggled to find the reason as to why in that game, so I could be a little bit wrong. It was, 4 or 5 games ago. He only put up 14 yards, but if you take that game out, even if you include it, holding him to less than 100 yards outside of that one game, that's an incredible feat for us, for any team in Justin Jefferson. He said something prior to the game. I don't know what show he was on or who he was talking to, but he said that there was something about Detroit that he just has big games. So he was expecting to have a big game. And then he ran into Amik Robertson. And Amik told him it wasn't going to happen. And then he tried to get over on the rookie, Terry and Arnold. And he said, nope, it's not going to happen. And when he went up against Carlton Davis, he found out the same thing. Wasn't going to happen. You might get a little one here or there. JJ, we expect that. But, nah. Other than that, you're not going to have a big day today. Not today. How about those linebackers, man? Best game of the season for them. The whole damn linebacker crew gets a game ball. Absolutely. Should have. Great game. Some mistakes too, but great game. They really stood up big in this game. Last but not least, I didn't learn this, but Jared Goff is a DAWG, man. He is just a dog. Absolute dog. Now, during the live stream yesterday, I took a wild guess. And I said, man, it looks like he's only getting about 2.6 seconds of time to throw. He wasn't getting much time at all. 2.57 second average. 2.57 second average. Pressured on 52.2% of his dropbacks or his passes overall. Insane that he dealt with that much pressure and threw for a career day. And we're going to get into some of the records that he broke. Smash that like button for Jared Goff, man. Give this guy some ups. What a big game. Last but not least, this is nothing new. Positional coaches. Yeah, we got the best in the league. I'm not even going to sit here in front like we don't. Calvin Shepard, Mark Brunell, Antoine Randall, Hank Fraley. These guys are the best in the business. They had this team ready. They were ready to pivot. When the game goes left, they go right. And they just made adjustment after adjustment after adjustment to keep this team in the game. Now, nobody expected a late game fumble that would lead to a touchdown by David Montgomery. And I'm sure he was absolutely gutted when that happened. But again, this is nothing new. We learned that his team stood up for him. Go get that ball back and go score. That's what they did. All right, so let's get into what Lomas Brown said about Josh Paschal. The dude had a really good game for what it was. What I wanted to share, though, was... Let me pull up the PFF stats. Man, ever since they did that procedure on my ear, my sinuses are just wide open. I lost my hearing yesterday again, too, which is not fun. Not fun. Let's see here. Well, that's weird. So last night we had stats from PFF. And now it's saying that these stats are in review. What happened? Why are they all in review right now? I had five. Well, I knew I should have took a picture of it. If I remember correctly, the Lions had 4 sacks and 14 pressures. So if I'm going to go game by game and compare what the Lions did against this game, we had 24 pressures and 4 sacks against the Cowboys. That was probably our biggest game of the season defensively when it came to pressures. And Aiden was in that game through, 3/4 of that game. Week 4, Lions had 37 pressures. 37 pressures. 4 sacks. Week 3, the Lions had 16 pressures and only 1 sack. So in a game that Aiden had 8, and this is kind of comparing, when Aiden was in and when he's not, we had 14 and 4 yesterday, at least for what we saw in the preliminary stats. Could change when they're done with it today. So when you compare it against some of our other games, week 2 against Tampa Bay, we had 14 pressures and 6 sacks. And week 1 against the Rams, we had 27 and 3. So the difference here is, in some of these games where Aiden had, a big amount of pressures, whether it be 11 or 8 or 15, we're missing those pressures. But 14 and 4 is not bad. When you compare it against the rest of the league, it's better than average. And so we're getting pressure still on the quarterback with all of these, these backup of backups that we have playing in the game right now. And I wouldn't say they're all backups of backups, but they're guys that haven't had a ton of experience, like Levi O playing edge. He hasn't had a ton of experience. Mekhi Wingo's a rookie. Josh Paschal, this is his first season playing edge. All right. Yeah, a ton of interior pressure. I would say that that's the majority of where the pressure came from. We'll find out more. But when we read yesterday, it was linebacker pressure, and it was a Lee McNeil and DJ Reader pressure. And not a whole lot coming from the outside. Paschal had 3. That was all preliminary stats. So we'll see what changes today. But yeah, to your point, interior pressure, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Exactly what I was hoping for. Let's get into what Lomas Brown said. And I think that this is going to help kind of reshape and reframe your mind a little bit if you trust Lomas Brown, which I do. I mean, being a former offensive lineman for many, many years, I think he has a pretty great perspective. And he kind of backed up something that I've been saying for a long time, which is, well, let's just find out. You'll know what he said and how you'll relate it to what I say quite a bit. I just found it interesting that he said it last night. Here we go.
This week, D-line coach Terrell Williams said that Josh Paschal had the best practice of his entire season. All this week leading up to the Vikings game. Paschal stepping up for, of course, the injured Aiden Hutchinson. No timetable for his return. Here you see Paschal, his first sack on the season, and it comes in a very big way. How is Paschal stepping up to the plate right now?
So for me, Danny, I'm not going to even look at the sacks. I'm going for the tackles. And some of the other plays, he had a couple of penetration plays that caused the running back to stop his feet in the background, or cause a TFL, or help his other teams go around and make the tackle. I tell you what, Josh Paschal, he's playing well. Now, the stats may not jump off at you, but it's the little things he do. Take on double teams, defeat one-on-one blocks, stand his guy up and get him off of the shed to get to the tackle. It's all those little things that don't show up in the stat column that he's doing, and that's why he's so effective out there on the field.
All right, so that's exactly what I wanted to hear from somebody other than me. Lomas Brown said, I'm not even going to look at the sacks. It's not even about that. He may not show up in the stat lines. It's not about that. What it's about is his ability to shed, blocks, to shed double teams, to penetrate the play, the high disruption plays, taking on and beating double teams. And again, none of this is going to show up in the stat line. Don't look at the sacks. Look at everything else that he's doing. And this isn't just on Josh Paschal. This is everybody along the defensive line. I've been saying that about DJ Reader this whole season. You're not going to see everything that he does by looking in the stats. You have to watch the tape. When he gets interior pressure, yes, that can show up in the stats. But it's more so about what is he doing? What is Josh doing, to win their rep, right? To win their one-on-one or their one-on-two, and especially if they're taking on a double team, what is DJ Reader doing with it? When these guys double, is he pivoting and trying to crash them down the line? To open a hole, to take them out of the play? The answer is yes. That's what I like to see. And that's why this defense is still going to be successful. And what we had seen yesterday is that this defense is multiple with how they can get to the quarterback. Sending in those linebackers was exactly what I was hoping for. And I can't wait to review the tape tomorrow. Shout out to Steve K. $5 super chat says yesterday's game shouldn't have been as close as it was. MCDC going for it on our side of the field set an early tone, but the boys bailed them out again. Steve, I would have to agree. I thought that was, a boneheaded move by Dan. So let's just talk about, there you go, Dan Gambles of the game for Steve K. So Dan, let's talk about Dan for just a sec. I'll come back to this on Josh Paschal. You do not go for an early fourth down fake punt on your side of the field. But this is who Dan is. I would say this was a big mistake. They felt that they had it, right? And I think the bigger issue was Jalen Reeves-Maybin did not kick the ball out to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He tucked it, and he went north, but he didn't go anywhere. He should have pitched that ball out right away, and Amon-Ra would have been able to make a move. I would have rather have seen somebody out there like Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think that probably would have given it away. Or even, Jamison Williams, out there, but that probably would have given it away too, what we were going to do. But I would say that play alone, that turned into 7 points for Minnesota right away. So you take those points off the board, you punt the ball, and you make them come down and beat you. And then I think that kind of changes things a little bit. That kind of got the momentum switched, very early in the game to it's Minnesota's momentum right now. They stop the fourth down. They score right away. That puts the Lions on their heels. And to your point, Steve K, this team had to turn around and battle to get rid of that negative momentum energy and go make some plays. And they did. Still love Dan and what he does. But that was, in my opinion, a play that could have come home to roost had we lost that game. He would have been absolutely thrown under a bus by probably every media outlet last night and this morning, nationally and locally. And thankfully, it's going to be a non-issue. People will talk about it just like this, but it's a non-issue. But back to Josh Paschal. Thanks again for your support of the channel, Steve. You've always been a great supporter. I'm sorry. Was it Vaki? Yeah, it was Vaki. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. It was Vaki. It wasn't Amon Ross St. Brown. It was Vaki. Speaking about Paschal, though, so I'm glad that Lomas Brown is stepped up and said something that I think was needed to be said. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of stats missing. But what did a lot of people call Matthew Stafford? Right? The fourth quarter stat Padford. Those stats didn't turn into wins. Those stats didn't turn into playoff wins. Those stats didn't turn into Super Bowls for the Lions anyway. They just turned into stats. And like what everybody else says about stats, you're not going to remember the stats. Demo just said it the other day. Nobody cares about our stats. What they care about is the playoff wins. What they care about is the Super Bowl. That's what you're going to remember. And when you remember the Super Bowl, then you're going to remember all the great things that happened that season. But for us, we've been surviving on stats for so long. Because Matthew Stafford was one of the best at getting them. Because Barry Sanders was one of the best at getting them. Because Calvin Johnson was one of the best at getting stats. But not wins. Now we're getting wins, and the stats seem to be riding right along with us. But what I would say is sacks are not everything. They're not. They're great. They are the ultimate, leveler of a game. But what I would say is we need, good, solid, disciplined play versus anything else. And we had that yesterday. Aside from, a small broken play or, a big chunk play here or there, they played really good disruptive football. And for a defensive line that is so depleted, for them to have the game that they did and for the linebackers to have the game that they did, man, the Titans are going to be in some trouble. Let's just hope that's not a trap game for us. I hope it's not. I heard someone talking about it yesterday. I really hope that's not the case. But let's enjoy it. Your Detroit Lions are number 1 in the NFC. They're kind of tied for first in the NFC North. They enjoy the tiebreaker right now over the Minnesota Vikings, and the Packers ended up winning. So we have 3 teams in the NFC North that have 5 wins right now. 3 teams. Kind of crazy, isn't it? Strongest division in football right now. No, I'm sorry. Wait, maybe there's only 2 teams. Let me look at the standings real quick. No, we got 3 teams. Yeah, Lions, Vikings, and Packers. Packers are 5-2. Vikings and Lions are 5-1. Bears are 4-2. The rest of the division, you've got the Commanders now 5-2. So they that's right. They had that big win yesterday. Man, Jay Daniels is special. He's got a rib injury right now, but he is special. Commanders are having a crazy good season. The Cardinals, they've let me down. They're supposed to be the Texans of last year. They've really let me down. They can still come back, but they've really let me down this year. Across the pond here in the other division or the other conference, you've got the Bills at 5-2, the Chiefs at 6-0, the Steelers at 5-2, and the Texans at 5-2. What I like about the Chiefs right now is, they're riding high. They're winning a lot of games. They're going to suffer some losses, and I feel when they start suffering some losses, their season's going to take a different direction. So it'll all happen at the right time. All right, so this next topic. I hope you guys get involved with this one because I'd like to know the last kickoff, right? So the last kickoff for the Lions. I don't even remember how many seconds were left in the game. Let me pull it up. Let's pull it up here. So the Lions kick a field goal, and they left 15 seconds on the clock. So they're going to go kick the ball off. And the question is, do you let the other team return it? Right? I heard someone say, well, they could have just squibbed it or they could have skied it. And I said, yeah, it doesn't work that way. The other team has to field the ball before your defense can move. Right? Or it has to get, I think above the 20 at least, or land inside between the 20 and the goal line. So it wouldn't work that way. Right? So you're not going to be able to run a bunch of time off the clock. Number one. Number two, I do feel that it is easier to score a touchdown with this new kickoff rule, but everybody's just been booting the ball into the end zone. So we don't have stats to go off of to say just how easy is it. I mean, we've seen a return this year. We saw a couple in preseason, but I don't think that I would take the risk of allowing them to return the ball and probably take, 4, 5, 6 seconds off the clock if we did stop them. But one, I wouldn't want to take the risk of allowing them a return, for a touchdown. Or second to that, let's just say they have a good return, and they get up to the 40, 45 yard line. Well, shoot, now you're within pissing distance of kicking a field goal. All they need is one good strike to Jefferson for 20 yards. They're on the other side of the 50, and they're in scoring position. They kick a field goal, they win the game. So I think the Lions made the right move. But I would like to know what you guys think. Do you kick it to allow them to return it, trying to chew off more time? Or do you do what the Lions do? You bang it through the end zone and you let them set up at the 30 and you get to work. Yep, you gave them 15 seconds, but no timeouts. So they are up against it. Everything that they do has to go out of bounds or be incomplete. 15 seconds to go, what is potentially 60 yards at least to be within field goal range. No, let me take that back. So if they're at the 30, 20, at least 40 yards, and you've got a really good chance of making a field goal. But you've only got 15 seconds. That could be one strike, you get up to the line and you down the ball and then you have an opportunity to kick it. Or if you catch the ball and you don't get out of bounds, that game's pretty much over. You might have one more shot. Peter Van Larhoven asked a question, Will, what were your thoughts on not rushing anybody on the last play? No, that's exactly what I was hoping that they would do. So right before that play happened, I said, I don't want any defensive linemen up there at all. Get everybody back. Ultimate prevent. You just got to keep them, under. And we still got the sack, right? I believe we ended the game with a sack by Nowosky. So they still got it. If you're talking about the very last play, they still got it. But, yeah, interesting way to end the game. I'm happy, obviously, the way it ended. Heartthrobber for sure, man. Making that heart tick just a little bit extra yesterday. Second to last play was at the first chance that they had so that's where they were all backed up, right? I think the last play we did have more guys up on the line. I'll have to go watch it again. But you know what? On our field goal, there was no flag thrown on Minnesota for jumping our center. You can't jump the center like that. You can't jump over the line. So there was no flag thrown, and I believe it's also a personal foul. So I'm curious as to why these refs decided not to throw a flag on the most blatant play that everybody can see. Everybody's watching it, and you don't throw a flag. Doesn't make any sense. So had he missed that field goal, there was no flag for us to move up, 10 or 15 yards and do it again. Zane313 says, did y'all see one of the Lions players telling the corner or the safety to back up because he was lining up man to man on the last play? I don't know what you're talking about there. I'm not real sure. I'll have to, when I watch the tape today, I'll make note to take a look at that. And then, so John and Peter, I'll take a look at, those final plays. We'll talk about it, definitely Tuesday night, but we'll talk about it probably Wednesday again. I'll come back to those. Don't let me forget. Yeah, and then the 10-second runoff, I've got to get more information on that. I've got to figure out why there wasn't. Yeah, I don't understand the way the game ended as far as what was going on with the refs. That part I didn't understand. But they definitely tried to give him one more chance, didn't they? So that game was very odd the way that the flags came out and ended with 8 flags each. Like, that just doesn't happen. You've got even penalty flags. And if you look at their history this season, they throw equal amounts of flags on both teams. How is that possible across 7 games? That's just not, that something's fishy there. I'm sorry. Something's fishy there. Guess I'm not surprised. All right, so let's get into the fun stuff about yesterday. Player of the game for the Detroit Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs. Not surprised here. Over 160 yards, all purpose on the day. 2 touchdowns. Hell of a day for the guy. Hell of a day. 116 yards rushing on 15 carries, 7.7 yard average, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and 4 catches for 44 yards through the air. No touchdowns through the air, but that would be, what was it, exact 160? That was exact 160 yards, all purpose on the day. Congratulations, Jahmyr, man. Good job. Oh, and since Aaron E. said roar Bates, how about we say this? Jake Bates slept at a Holiday Inn on Saturday night to kick the game winner versus the Minnesota Vikings. His first, and it won't be his last, game-winning walk-off field goal. Congratulations, Jake Bates. And I have to say this too, man. Watching his post-game interview, just what a positive dude. And he's just so happy to be part of this team. He is so happy to have an opportunity. And he gives all the credit, to the teammates and the coaches and everybody that stood behind him, did not give up on him when he had a little bit of struggles. And now look where he is. I mean, he's damn near 100%. He's only missed 1 extra point all season. He's right where I thought he would be. I think he's having a great season. And I'm glad that, even some of the Lions fans that were a little bit worried about him, during preseason, or even before, that it's all kind of smoothed out. I think that we can all trust in Jake Bates. Look, he's going to have some bad days. It's just bound to happen. Maybe he doesn't. But I'm expecting that there'll be some bad days at some point, whether it's bad weather or whatever. Thankfully, this season, we don't have, a lot of games where bad weather is going to be a possibility. I think that the Green Bay game and the Chicago Bears game are about it. But Bates, yeah, he's just an awesome dude, man. I mean, he's so down to earth, which I really enjoyed, listening to his game ball speech too, where, he was giving credit to the holder, Hogan Hatton and Jack Fox and, the line there, the field goal line, which is just a very grimy job. It's a very difficult job. And the offense for getting him into position. So I really, really appreciated, some of the things that he was saying. Which brings me to another point. There was another component of yesterday's post-game celebration. I think that we should watch it here. So let's bring that in and talk about it here. Here we go.
All right, man, Mr. Bates! Where's Bates at? Get up here, Bates! Give the man his ball! Give the man his ball!
Hey, how about the offense getting us in position, man, with like a minute and a half left, getting down there, man. We trust you guys with everything. And then field goal line, man, I know that's like the worst job in the world. I really appreciate you guys. And then Hogan and Jack, man.
He won his stats, he won the game. All right, I got one offense, 15 rushes, 116 yards. All right, 4 receptions, 44 yards, got us down there, 160 all-purpose yards. Let's go, John, get up there.
I couldn't do any of this without y'all, coaches, players, the whole organization. But yeah, like we say, only team that can beat us is ourselves. So let's take every game week by week. I love y'all.
Stay with me on offense. 8 receptions, 112 yards, 1 touchdown, Mr. St. Brown. Let's go. Love y'all, man. All right, hey, last one on defense, man. 4 tackles, 1 interception, 2 pass breakup. Really had a punch up for touchdown. All right, BB, come back up.
Love y'all.
Hey, listen, man, to say that I'm proud of you would be the massive understatement. That's the way to come in here. Everything we talked about from the time we got to halftime to the way we had to finish it out, man. Composure, right? Communication, attitude, patience. My God, man, you guys didn't bat an eye. I love this freaking team. I love the coaches. I love the players. I love everything about it, man. We are so freaking hardened. Even when it doesn't go the way we want it to, man, you find a way. That is an outstanding win. We are 1-0 in the division, gentlemen. That's one. Break it down.
Hey, bring it in. Hey, big boy win there. Division win on the road. Keep it going. Win on 3, 1, 2, 3.
I mean, what an excellent group of guys, right? It just doesn't get any better than that. Shout out to DLR. Van Halen says that there should be no 10-second runoff rule as there was no motion penalty there. If that's the answer, that's the answer. I was still going to look into it later on today. I'm interested to see what all of the 10-second runoff rules are. Remember, we had that one that snuck up on us that we didn't think that existed. And so I'm interested to find out what 10-second runoff rules exist now in the league, because they always seem to sneak some stuff in. And that's why I pay attention to the league-wide meetings and, what the league owners are able to bring to the table and the changes to rules. I try to really pay attention to that every season because they sneak some stuff in. And, every year it's like you're in a game and you're watching the game and you're like, what in the hell? That doesn't exist. That's never happened. What is that? And then there's always some guy in the crowd that's like, well, they changed it. And prior to the preseason and the league owners meetings. And so that got me to start thinking, all right, I got to pay attention to this stuff because they're always sneaking something in. Usually we know about it because they're trying to make these new rules that just affect the Lions, but it's been a minute since they've done that. Anyway, back to the post-game press conference here, or post-game celebration. Great work by these guys. And, you can tell that this team is ready, right? They're composed, like Dan Campbell said. They had patience in this game when things weren't going right, like Dan Campbell said. They didn't get down on themselves. Things weren't going their way. They figured out a way to navigate through it. And that's what it takes to have a winning culture and to build a winning team. Becoming a winning organization. It takes patience. And for us fans too, it's taken a hell of a lot of patience. A little bit too long. But I would say let's continue to enjoy the fruits of all of their hard work and our hard work by continuing to show up and support the team, because, it does take two. If they didn't have any fans, it would probably be a little bit different inside Ford Field. Now let's get into some more of the fun stuff here. Jared Goff and the records that were seemingly made and broken yesterday. Jared Goff is the fourth quarterback in NFL history to post a quarterback passer rating in 3 straight games above 140. The other 3 to do it: Roger Staubach, 1971, Kurt Warner, 1999, and Aaron Rodgers in 2011. So 13 years ago, the last quarterback has done what Jared Goff is doing. Not Patrick Mahomes, not Josh Allen, not Lamar Jackson. Nope. Jared Goff. Good work, dude. Let's take that a step further. Jared Goff is the only player in NFL history to complete 80% of his passes and have a passer rating of 140 or more in any 4-game span in the entire history of the NFL since data has been collected. Amazing work, Jared. Oh yeah, Jay-Z, those Goff haters, man, they're quiet today. It's crickets out there. Here we go. How about this one for the team? The Lions have started at least 5-1 in consecutive seasons for the first time since relocating to Detroit in 1934. That's pretty special. That's pretty special for Dan Campbell to have 2 5-1 starts and to bring it all the way back to the beginning of Detroit, where Detroit began, being the new birthplace of the Detroit Lions. I think we were the Portsmouth Spartans prior to that, if I might remember correctly. Yeah, incredible work by Dan Campbell. We got a bunch more to talk about. Lions defensive back Brian Branch completed his 20th career NFL game yesterday, posting career totals of 24 passes defensed and 7 interceptions. Since the data began being collected in 1999, he is only the 4th NFL player to tally those totals, joining Brandon Browner, Marcus Peters, and Trayvon Diggs. Pretty special for Brian Branch. I think that we got a good one, y'all. I really do. I think that Brian Branch he's on his way to becoming an all-pro. If he keeps playing at the clip that he's playing this season, there is no reason why he shouldn't get some sort of recognition in the dance for becoming an all-pro this season. He just has to stay healthy and keep doing what he's doing. Like I said, Detroit Lions PR team was on fire yesterday, doing a great job pumping out all of these crazy stats. Jahmyr Gibbs, first player in franchise history to post a rushing average of 5+ yards in 5 straight games with a minimum of 10 rushing attempts. The NFL record, get this, is 6 straight games. So he's the only Lion to ever do it. And the NFL record is next week. He can tie it. He needs 5+ a carry and 10 rushing attempts. I think he'll probably get that. At least the 10 attempts, I would hope. I'm not sure that the Lions are going to try to go for the record, but they could, and it all depends on what's going on with David Montgomery and how bad his ankle is, or the lower leg issue that he suffered. I think it did hamper him throughout the rest of the game yesterday. So we'll see where that goes. So congratulations to Jahmyr Gibbs. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, what about Barry Sanders? How did Barry Sanders not have that? Well, I think the key here is 10 rushing attempts and 5+ yards per carry in those games for 5 straight. Barry probably had, an average, I think, of 5 per carry for his career. Definitely smashed a bunch of records. I mean, I think he hit 100 yards in just about every game, or 1,000, yards in every season for 10 years straight. But there's some little stats that maybe he didn't get or didn't create. So that was a big question that was popping up yesterday. How about this one? The only players in NFL history to have a completion percentage of 72+, throw for 2+ TDs, and post a passer rating of 110+ in 4 straight games in a single season. There's only 2 players. And one of them is Jared Goff. The other one is Tom Brady in 2007. I think that one's pretty incredible. He was getting some comparisons yesterday. I don't remember who was saying it, but they were talking about him and Tom Brady, which is funny because I've made the comparisons between him and Tom Brady, which he is no Tom Brady yet, but there's a lot of similarities. A quarterback that doesn't run a whole lot, doesn't need to run, but very accurate with the football, a very good passer of the football, a very smart quarterback. Just need a good system, a good line around him. So what? Every quarterback does. But even if you have that, doesn't mean that you can do what Jared Goff is doing. It doesn't mean that if you were to put Aaron Rodgers right now behind this line with these weapons, he would be able to do the same thing. And I'm glad that's never happened, thankfully. How about this one? Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown has produced 100+ receiving yards and a TD in 3 straight games versus the Minnesota Vikings. He's the first Lions player since the 1970 AFL-NFL merger to post 100+ receiving yards and a TD in 3 straight games against a single opponent. Pretty incredible. When you just looked at, we just looked at Justin Jefferson's stats. And you would think that that's not possible. Especially when you look at it, he had 192 yards on January 7th. He had 141 on December 24th. He had 223 on December 11th and 22. But the issue is he didn't post a touchdown in every one of those games. He never did 3 in a row. Now he had 3 in a row in the last 3 games, but he didn't get above 100 yards today or yesterday. So had he had, 20 more yards yesterday, he and Amon-Ra St. Brown would have done it jointly and against each other, which I find interesting. He just needed 20 more yards to do it. Pretty interesting. Yeah, Peter, anyone still complaining about Jared Goff's contract? Hell, maybe he should get a bonus. How about this one? Jahmyr Gibbs produces his 5th career game with a multiple TD rush. He joins the GOAT at Barry Sanders. 1995 and 1991 as the only Lions players since 1960 to rush for at least 80 yards and 2 TDs in the first half of a football game. Now, that is a franchise record. Pretty cool, yeah? I think we got some more in here. Brian Branch has produced 2+ pass defense in 5 straight games. This ties the longest streak by any NFL safety since the data began being collected in 1999. 5th straight game with 2 passes defensed. We got a good one there. Jahmyr Gibbs also had the longest rush of his career versus the Minnesota Vikings, where it was a 45-yard TD. What a beautiful run that was, man. Great call. It was at that time that I was saying that that's the mixologist, of Ben Johnson that we know and love. That was such a perfect call. Loved it. He's also rushed for a TD in 3 straight games against the Minnesota Vikings, joining the other GOAT at the real Billy Sims, 1981 to 82, for the longest such streak in team history. So big names being talked about. What a great day, man. What a great win for the Lions. So I want to go back and talk about Jared Goff for just one more second here. Being under pressure, I don't think that people understand just how crazy this stat is and what it really means. But you want to talk about a guy that gets so much crap for not being mobile. And someone in the chat just said that, he is showing that his mobility is there and in extending plays. Just has to work on his balance when trying to avoid contact, but he is seriously out there extending plays. Zane313, thank you for your comment. Yeah, it's exactly right. Now, he's the broken giraffe, like I call him. Eric likes to call him the baby giraffe. But I called him the broken giraffe last year because he's tall, he's lanky, he's got a long neck, and when he runs, he just runs like a herky-jerky giraffe. You know how giraffes run kind of clunky, right? It's real clunky. And sometimes Jared Goff runs like that. Sometimes he runs smooth. But he's a bit clunky. He's just got those long legs, and they're not meant for running. But he is able to sidestep and move around the pocket. He does a really good job at doing that. He could be a little bit, more aware at times. Sometimes I feel like he stands in the pocket just a little bit too stiff. Needs to move his feet a little bit more, stay a little bit more loose. But yesterday, he had a swipe at the ball, and in his arms obviously were strong enough to avoid that swipe and hold the ball and then complete a long pass. But talking about Jared Goff yesterday for just a moment, 52.2%. Now, there's 2 stats, 52.2% and 51.7%. So there's a difference here. He was under pressure 52.2% of his passes, but he was also under pressure 51.7% of his dropbacks. He had 11 dropbacks, and he finished 10 of 11 for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's insanity to me. The most underrated quarterback just beat some of the worst pressure you can go against. And yes, I had to look at the NFL Pro Stats to see what else happened yesterday. Did anybody else have anything close to that? Now, Stafford didn't have a great day. He only had 2.24 seconds of time to throw. He went 14 of 23. Trevor Lawrence was 15 of 20, so 75%. He had 2.41 seconds of time to throw. Aaron Rodgers was 24 of 39, so 61.5%, 2.46 seconds of time to throw. Dorian Thompson-Robinson came in for the Cleveland Browns. He had 2.46 seconds. 45.8% completion percentage. Jordan Love, 72.7%, 2.47 seconds. Jordan Love's going to be a problem. He has really started to turn into a decent quarterback. Then there's Jared Goff. So the 6th most pressured quarterback of the day, 2.57 seconds. 88% completion rate. 88% completion rate. 88%. 8% completion rate. 2.5 seconds. Took 4 sacks on the day. Pressured 51.7% of his dropbacks. But on those dropbacks, completed 10 of 11 for 164 yards and 2 TDs. I'll say it again. He was just a bridge. Wasn't supposed to be here. A lot of you wanted him to walk over that bridge and go back where he came from. I'm glad he's still here. I think we need to put this negative narrative of Jared Goff away. You know, when he starts playing, 4, 5, 6 bad games in a row, yeah, but you know what? Then we can talk about that there may be a problem. But I would also look around, the team as to what's going on with the rest of the team too, because remember, this is a team game. Even though Jared Goff is pulling these crazy stats, it's not without his offensive line. And Taylor Decker, he got his butt kicked yesterday. He's kind of been a problem this season. And Jared Goff is navigating around it. But he's getting his butt kicked. And I hope that Hank Fraley is recognizing this and Ben Johnson are recognizing it, that up against some of these better defenses, we need to have a tight end over on that side. Or we need to send a tight end in motion that is going to, crack or, chip that edge. And at least give Taylor a helping hand for a second. But Taylor just looked lost in the headlights yesterday on a play that he wasn't even moving. And Jared Goff got sacked hard. So again, I can't wait to look at the tape tomorrow night, because there's going to be a lot. Oh wait, is that tomorrow night? Hold on. No, I got to go to Cleveland, so it might be off. I might be off one morning this week, because I know I got to go to Cleveland. That'll be Thursday. Yep, so Thursday will be off. So we'll be doing tape review. Maybe Eric will be back on Thursday, or I can figure out a way to have somebody else come on. Maybe Chef will fill in or something and get some people on for us. We'll get it figured out. I missed the 9 o'clock hour. Let's get an ad in from our sponsor this morning.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uberlights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from Uberlights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uberlights, with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit Uberlights.com for all your UV flashlight needs, with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from Uberlights.com.
All right, and we're back. So like I said, I've got to jump off early this morning. It'll probably be another, 20, 23 minutes or so. I'm going to have to step away and get to my appointment this morning. Let's see. We got people already talking about this next week game. We are 11.5 point favorites against the Titans. 11.5. That might be the biggest gap that I've seen this season. I don't know of another game that has had more. And I certainly hope that it doesn't turn out to be a trap game. These Lions cannot take the Titans lightly. They have played some teams, pretty tough this year. But, yeah, not a whole lot for Lions news. I don't understand what's going on here. I haven't seen much from anybody recently. I'm not seeing a bunch of articles. I'm not sure why. Might just have to go in and look for them independently, I guess. So let me back up for 1 second. Just reading this headline here about Dan Campbell notes his confidence of Jake Bates, following the game winner. I can't say again how important it is that Jake Bates is really starting to come alive right now. and that his confidence, week by week by week is getting bigger and bigger and bigger because we're probably going to need him in some tight games. Yesterday should have been a tight game. It really shouldn't have been. And I'm not going to go off the train tracks today, talking about, some of the things that we could have done. I'm going to wait and watch the tape. I'm going to come back with some notes tomorrow and have a better conversation surrounding the tape. I might do some cut-ups and post those probably on Wednesday and see what we see. Huge win yesterday, right? Huge win, but there's some things that didn't happen in the game. J-Mo didn't get involved. Sam Laporta didn't get involved. We find a way to win. And I'm curious as to what happened. Like, what exactly did they do? Because I didn't focus on every bit of the defense yesterday to see what they were doing to limit Sam Laporta and to limit J-Mo. I mean, I can almost guess that they obviously were bracketing down both of those guys pretty hard and tried to take away, anything over the middle of the field. And, if you look at where, Amon-Ra had some of his success yesterday, it was more on the outer third of the field. It wasn't so much over the middle. He had a couple over the middle, but it seemed like more on the outer third. Let me see if I can pull up Jared Goff's passing stats. Yeah, so looking at his stats from yesterday, let's see if I can get this up for us. See here. One second. I'll get it pulled up. Hopefully it's visible to you guys. You can actually see it. All right. That's going to be about as big as I think I'm going to be able to make it right now. Maybe I can make it just a little bit bigger. All right, so these are some of the things that I look at each week when trying to evaluate, what our guys are doing. And if you look at this, Jared did have a few. You see the blue line, so that's the line of scrimmage. He had a few, dink and dunks, 4, 5, 6 yards off to the left side over the center. And then he had a couple to the right side that were up in the third tier. You're talking 15 to 22 yard passes. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of up in the center right quadrant, if you will. But that's center field, if you will. And then to the right, you've got 1 over 15, 1 over 5 or 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 7 behind the line of scrimmage, and then a couple off to the left. So the most of his damage was kind of center right. Not right up over the middle where we normally see, between, probably the 10 and 15 yard line between the hashes is where I think that Jared Goff has, a lot more completions typically from week to week. But this Vikings defense took all that away. And that's exactly why, without even watching the tape, I'm going to tell you that's exactly why J-Mo and Laporta did not have a very good day, because that's where they catch a lot of, their passes is right over the middle. Peter, have a good day, buddy. Appreciate you coming in this morning. Jay Cruzen, yeah, and possibly. Just not seeing a ton. Chris MVP Harris is back in this morning. Good morning, buddy. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it. And Zane313 says, am I the only person that felt like the Lions game planned for J-Mo not to be involved? Hey, they could have. Tim Patrick was not as involved either. I think he caught a couple yesterday. Maybe one, actually. I think Tim only had one. No, he had 2 for 25. Had 2 for 25. Take a look at the stats real quick. Get these ads off here real quick. There we go. So taking a look at the stats, we'll run through this, and then I'm going to bounce for the day so I can be on time. Apologize about not having this set up earlier. So let's just start at the top here. Jared Goff, we already know, had an amazing day. 280 yards, 22 of 25, 88% completion percentage, 87.3 QBR. I mean, that is insane. That's just a phenomenal QBR for him. 140 rating. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 for 116, 7.7. I mean, 7.7. I mean, geez. It's incredible work. 2 TDs. David Montgomery didn't have his best day. Kind of got injured early. 9 of 31. Jalen Reeves-Maben on the 4th down fake punt. Obviously didn't go anywhere. Amon-Ra had a great day, 8 of 112. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 for 44 through the air. Khalif Raymond, 3 for 39. But you know what? Those are some of the biggest passes of the day. One of the final drives of the game, Khalif Raymond came up huge. Huge. David Montgomery catching the ball, 3 for 39. Those passes were all critical. I mean, you could even say Sam Laporta's 1 catch for 25 was a critical pass in the game. Tim Patrick's definitely were 2 for 25. I mean, right at the right time. Conversely, on the other side, I mean, I think that holding Sam Darnold to 259, I mean, he completed, a pretty fair amount too. He had a really good day. Really good day. Really efficient day. But he also took 4 sacks, just like Jared Goff, but he threw a pick. And speaking of picks, that's the one thing that I wanted you guys to notice about the thumb today. You guys notice Brian Branch? Those are 2 separate games, back-to-back games. Cowboys and Vikings. Identical pose. That's his signature interception move. The way that he jumps to the side to pick off the ball. I mean, it's perfect, right? I mean, you could probably match those picks up and they would almost be near identical. I had to go search the game tape to find that because there wasn't any pictures out of it, but hopefully some pictures come out with Brian Branch and these interceptions. But I found that interesting, and why that's important to me is it tells me that he is very consistent in what he does. Very, very consistent. Oh, guys, let's not go tit for tat on caps. The reason why we have caps off is just for, mods or myself to do announcements or whatever. That's all. We know people aren't yelling or anything like that, but we try to keep caps off so that we can make our announcements if we need to. Breaking news, whatever. So anyway, Sam Darnold, pretty good day for him, right? But Brian Branch made sure that it was not a good enough day. Aaron Jones definitely shouldn't have had 93 yards. I'm glad that we kept him south of 100, but it should have been 35 yards less than that, honestly. Eric says that Monty will not have another fumble this season. That was one of my biggest worries about Monty when he was brought in was, the fact that he fumbled, I think 6 times with the Bears, even though it was on a lot more carries than Jamal Williams. Comparing the two, like Jamal didn't have any fumbles, coming into the Lions. I think he had like one, and then he fumbled the ball quite a bit in his first season, but he also ran for 20 touchdowns, in his second season. So I was a little bit worried, but David Montgomery has made such a vast improvement this season on toting the rock and being extremely careful with it. I'm looking at this play right here. This isn't supposed to be running, but was that a kickoff return? I don't know, but I got to get that off the screen. Shouldn't be playing. Ty Chandler did not have a good day, like we expected. Cam Akers was not involved in the run game. Justin Jefferson held below 100. Jalen Naylor had a great game. Jordan Addison had a sneaky game. He snuck up and bit us at times. We kept their tight ends at bay, which was good. Good to see. On the day for turnovers, Jared Goff fumbled the ball twice, but he didn't lose any. David Montgomery was the only fumble that we lost. So we had one turnover, they had one turnover, and it is a game of turnovers. I expected whoever won the turnover margin in this game was going to win this game. And it turned out that while we still won the game, the turnover margin was even, but the Minnesota Vikings scored 7 points off of their turnover. I can't remember now if the Lions scored off of that interception. They might have. They might have. But some of the bigger players of the day. I mean, look at Alex Anzalone, eight tackles. Kirby Joseph, 7 tackles. Malcolm Rodriguez played a hell of a game. I can't wait to see his tape. 7 tackles. Jack Campbell, 7 tackles. Trevor Nowaski, 5 tackles. You guys getting the theme here? Our linebackers had an incredible day. Absolute incredible day. So what many had thought was a weakness on this team is really turning out to be a strength of this team right now when we need it. Josh Paschal had a good day. Brian Branch had an excellent day. Outside of the one holding penalty by Carlton Davis, he had a pretty good day. But again, we'll get into more of these stats when PFF is available. Hopefully, we'll be doing that tomorrow morning. We'll review it a little bit more. And kind of give us the final overview for the weekend. Lions are 5-1. We're tops the NFC North. We are tied at the top of the NFC now. What an incredible win for these Detroit Lions. Anything else you guys want to touch on today? Any questions? Any statements? Bo Booth says a signature move for Brian Branch. Yeah, it is a signature move, man. I mean, if you go look at all of his interceptions, they almost all look like that. Diving one way or the other. I feel it's the way that he hides. He tries to stay hidden, and then he pops up out of nowhere, and then he leaps for the ball. So I think that, when you're playing hip to hip, it's a little bit, more difficult to obviously stay hidden because you're going to be seen. But I feel like he's hiding. He's trying to position himself between the quarterback and a defender in front of him or an offensive player in front of him, and then he just kind of pops out at the last moment. Kirby Joseph does the same thing. Very, very sneaky safeties. Yeah, Decker was a disappointment yesterday. I hope that he can work it out, but I think that the Lions are going to need to definitely draft, I think, for the replacement of these guys. And be ready. Decker's as solid as they come, but he is having a tough year this year. He's done well at times too, but he is having a tough year at times that I feel it's kind of hurting this team. Maybe we just need to, send a tight end behind him, Chip, like I said earlier, get him some more help at times. Will, do you know why the NFL is blocking content creators from uploading their reaction to the game? It was even trending on Twitter for a minute. Whose reaction? Who got blocked? And I don't know if you're talking about just local Lions or you're talking about all creators. I will say that it does seem like the live game by game, the live stream, we don't get as much attention. I mean, if you started a channel that was all that, and did it consistently, you're going to be fine. But for a channel like mine that doesn't do it a whole lot, like this is the first season really that I'm really doing it. It takes a long time to build an audience, and it's your audience that needs to come back. You don't need the NFL or Twitter or YouTube or anybody else. You need your audience. But to get found, right, to get into the algorithm, that would be YouTube blocking it and not the NFL. Yeah, I don't know. If you could tell me someone specifically and I could go look at the video, people react to the highlights of each game. So is it NFL film that they're reacting to? Yeah, Bo Booth, I'm with you, man. If tackles should be addressed, if the current young guys don't develop well. Christian Mahogany and Manu. Mahogany's probably going to be a guard, but Manu is that eventual replacement, I think, for Taylor Decker, and he's gonna need, 2-3 seasons. Unless he can take a big leap next year and get some extra snaps in, he's gonna take 3 seasons, and I think that's about as long as Taylor Decker's extension anyway. Great job on supporting the channel. Hit the like button this morning. 86 likes. Got 100 people in right now. 106 people in. You guys are doing a great job. Really appreciate you. Don't forget, Rock Down Cancer Foundation, we still have raffles going on. All the raffles are only $3 a ticket right now. You can go to, it's right there at the bottom right of your screen, buy me a coffee /Rock Down. You can scan the QR codes that pop up. That one will take you to Uperlight's website that's on the screen right now, but you'll see the QR codes for the Rock Down Cancer Foundation. If you would like to support the Rock Down Cancer Foundation, our goal here is helping others. That's what this channel is all about. 100% of the money that comes in through donations, raffle tickets, whatever, 100% of it is put back into the Rock Down Cancer Foundation. It's not for my pocket. It's to help others. I'm not sure. Zayna, I really don't know what you're referring to. You saying just the highlights of the whole game, just like the video on the NFL YouTube channel. But it was kind of weird. The Lions versus Vikings were the one that haven't been uploaded at all on YouTube. I will say this. If the all 22 film is not available, none of us can really do a review of the game. But if the NFL puts out highlights, we can't use that video. It'll get taken down. It'll get copyright striked. The NFL does not want, any of their broadcasted video used. We can't use it. But like all 22 films, he posts his highlights. He creates his own, highlight reel from the all 22 film and then comments over it. And those seem to do just fine. So I'm not sure on which highlights you're speaking of, but if they are highlights that have been broadcasted live, we can't use those. So if they're trying to use those, of course they're going to get blocked. But yeah, just maybe later on today, you'll see some stuff posted. I do a live review with members of the channel. So if you want to be a member of the channel, I do a live review on Tuesday nights. It's something different that you can't get, really anywhere else. I pay for all the subscriptions, so that means you don't have to pay for the subscriptions, and then we get access to all 22 and we go through it. Week by week, we're getting a little bit better, and we're trying to identify what plays. So I would request members for tomorrow night. If you want to email me, mailbag@rockdon.com. If you want to identify some plays that you want to review tomorrow, let me know so I can make a list. We try to get to all of them, but to get to all of them for tomorrow, man, it's going to take 2 hours. So I guess be ready. It's going to be a long review. Yeah, I don't know, Zane. I have no idea. The fact that the Lions beat the Vikings, I think it was expected by a lot of us. I don't know. I'll search when I get done today. On my way in, I'll search and see what I can find for other content creators. I know some people, cry about their stuff being hidden or whatever, and it is what it is. It's just all about the algorithm, really. If I don't post videos, my channel gets buried. The minute I start posting videos repeatedly, then that's when I start to get back into the algorithm again, and you'll see some videos pop. But it takes an audience to come back, which you guys always do great. So yes, despite all the penalties, we still won. The Lions find a way to overcome, and that's going to be the story to end today's live stream. We'll be back tomorrow morning on the Rise and Grind Morning Show, but your Detroit Lions are probably the most resilient team in the NFL. They are built strong from head to tail. Man, Dan Campbell has this team operating unlike I have ever seen a team operate so quickly during what was a complete rebuild to now, which is just a little bit of a retooling every season. Getting all the little things right is what matters to this team, the details. And making sure that you're personally responsible for your job. Just do your job. That's all that Dan Campbell asks you to do. So it doesn't matter if you're a second or a third string defensive lineman. If you can go in and do your job, you can have the results that we had yesterday, which was a very potent offense that couldn't move the ball when they wanted to. Only when we made a mistake did it seem like Minnesota was able to move the ball. And conversely, on the other side of the ball, when we make a mistake offensively, they find a way to overcome. And they did all of that yesterday. It was a great team win. The only one coaching blunder was in the beginning of the game, and hopefully it doesn't happen again, but it did not take us out of the game yesterday. The Detroit Lions team helped out their coach by turning it around. 21 unanswered points by the Detroit Lions. After the Minnesota Vikings put up 10 points, the Detroit Lions put up 21 unanswered in the second quarter. And I still never looked, but the third quarter we did get one extra touchdown, which is better than what we've seen in most games this season. So our third quarter is starting to turn around too, and we need it. We need it all headed into what is a very long rest of the season without a break. We have a gauntlet of a schedule where we have 3 games in like 21 days again. Or 3 games in like 11 or 12 games around Thanksgiving. And that is going to be very difficult for these Lions. So we have to be ready. We have to be healthy. And next up, we'll be talking about Brad Holmes. What is he going to do? Did yesterday tell us anything about the defensive line or the defensive end position? Is Brad Holmes going to make a trade? With the Browns seemingly out on Deshaun Watson, who's now probably injured for the rest of the season, does that mean they're going to open up the possibility to trading Myles Garrett? Dariussmith, we'll talk about him later on. Is Dariussmith going to make his way? The one guy who's not is Haason Reddick. He's going to be staying in New York. At least that is the latest from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter. Reddick is going to be staying in New York. He's not going to be going anywhere. So a lot of interesting developments. Max Crosby played yesterday. Does that mean that Max Crosby's not going to be traded? Potentially. The Lions have less than 2 weeks to make a move. Who's it going to be? Or is it not going to be anybody at all? We'll keep our eyes and ears open, and hopefully we'll get you guys the news as it breaks. we'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And we'll get some videos out this afternoon talking about the game a little bit more in depth. You guys have a great day. And again, thank you to all the members, subscribers, audience members, listeners, watchers of the channel, supporters. You guys are all excellent, man. Go Lions, go One Pride. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Igniting the light through highs and lows, we'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together